Hi there, Medical Wildcats. I'm Joseph Guggenheim. I'm a 1972 alum of the medical school. And this month, my subject is the evolution of the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab and also the evolution of physical medicine and rehabilitation, or PM&R, as a specialty. The Shirley Ryan Ability Lab has been named as the best rehab hospital in the United States for 36 consecutive years by U.S. News and World Report. It is the only hospital anywhere in the United States and in any specialty that has received this honors. It began as the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago, or RIC, in 1947, and the current facility, the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab, opened in 2017. The hospital was made possible by a very generous grant from Pat and Shirley Ryan, the largest owners in the history of Northwestern. Both Pat and Shirley are Northwestern alums. Pat realized that none of the generous gifts the Ryans had given to Northwestern had only Shirley's name on them. So that is how the institution got named the Shirley Ryan instead of the Pat and Shirley Ryan Ability Lab. Let's look at the evolution of rehab as a specialty. In the 1920s, the American Medical Association created the Council on Physical Therapy to address the question of what physical treatments benefited patients and which ones did not. And during this period, there was very little research to support the scientific claims of the benefits of PM&R. Dr. John Coulter from Northwestern and Frank Grusin from the Mayo Clinic pushed for physical medicine to be recognized as a distinct medical specialty with scientific basis. In the 1930s, Dr. Grusin at the Mayo Clinic began the first three-year PM&R residency in the United States. And Dr. Grusin and Dr. Coulter together founded the American Society of Physical Therapy Physicians. In 1947, PM&R was finally recognized as a medical specialty. In 1950, the American Society of Physical Therapy Physicians was renamed the American Society of PM&R. The American Board of Physical Medicine was renamed the American Board of PM&R. And in 1951, the first textbook for the specialty was published, Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation for the Clinician. Dr. Coulter, before World War II, established a physical therapy program in the orthopedic department at Northwestern. It was not a freestanding specialty, but was part of the orthopedic department. And after the war, he continued his work in industrial medicine and orthopedics in Chicago. In 1947, he presented a plan to the American Board of Medical Specialties for the establishment of a specialty board in the field. And he was named the first president of the American Academy of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation. After World War II, General Omar Bradley, head of the Veterans Administration, recruited Dr. Paul Magnuson at Northwestern, an Army orthopedic surgeon, to provide rehabilitation care for the veterans. And he served until 1951. He conceived of a medical facility for the rehabilitation of civilians. And in the picture on the right, you see Dr. Magnuson on the right presenting President Harry Truman a report on the president's communication on the health needs of the nation. Dr. Magnuson was appointed chair of the Department of Orthopedic Surgery at Northwestern. The Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago formed an academic affiliation with Northwestern in 1967. The Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago, or RIC, opened in 1954 with Magnuson as the director. It was located at 401 East Ohio Street in a building that was an old warehouse used to store old law books. At first, the institution treated only outpatients, but it began treating inpatients in 1957. The hospital had beds for 20 inpatients. In 1974, a new facility opened between Abbott Hall and Passavant Hospital in what was a surface parking lot. A campaign was started to raise money for the institution, and $26 million was raised. It was an 18-story building, and one of the largest buildings in the world developed solely to rehabilitation medicine. It cared for 170 inpatients and 125 outpatients daily. And in the picture on the right, you can see this building with the old Prentice Hospital with its cylindrical towers on the left side of the picture. This is an aerial view of the medical center several decades ago. You can see the Rehabilitation Institute at the red arrow, Prentice Hospital, the cylindrical towers at the blue arrow, the old VA hospital at the green arrow, which is now a green grassy meadow, and Old Thorn Hall, which is now the Rubloff building in the yellow arrow at the bottom of the picture. The RIC housed the physical therapy school, the prosthetics and orthotics school, the Searle Research Center, the Bioengineering Center, and the Center for Education and Training in Rehab Medicine. Dr. Henry Betts was head of the hospital for a long time, and he brought many innovations to physical medicine. He worked to change the public's view of the disabled. As a boy, he saw his teacher being carried into the classroom by her brother because of her paralysis following polio. He watched his sister struggle with learning disabilities following a skull fracture. He was a graduate of Princeton University, received his medical degree from the University of Virginia, and did his residency at New York University under the tutelage of Howard Rusk, one of the founders of rehab medicine. Betts was assigned to care for a stroke patient, Joseph Kennedy, the father of President Kennedy. Dr. Betts joined the RIC in 1963. He believed in empowerment of the people with disabilities being a civil rights issue, and he worked with Mayor Richard Daley to place curb cuts in sidewalks to improve accessibility. He championed equality and shared commitment. And you can see in this picture, he's talking to Dr. Jonas Salk, the gentleman who was standing, and Mr. Robert Redford on the right. Dr. Betts was the medical director from 1965 until 1994, and the CEO from 1986 to 1997, department chair from 1987 to 1994. He developed a reputation for providing medical care to patients, but not just the medical care, also the psychological issues and social issues. He addressed such problems they face, such as housing, employment, sexuality, recreation, and ethics. He created a holistic environment for their care, which was innovative at the time, having social workers, psychologists, recreational therapists, vocational counselors, and other physicians participate in the patient's care. He created a team approach for the patient's care with involvement of the family. He wanted to shape a better life for tens of millions of Americans who were disabled due to disease or injury. He championed steps like the Americans for Disability Act. He made Chicago the most important city in the world for the disability rights movement. He combined a personal touch with his medical expertise. He also believed in prevention as well as treatment. He lobbied for helmet and seatbelt laws, lower speed limits, higher drinking age, and child car seats. He devoted himself to a new challenge, conquering the high unemployment rate of patients with disabilities. He participated in the design and construction of the new RIC, which opened in 1974. Let's look at the first 50 years of the RIC. In 1954, Dr. Magnuson opened the institution, converting an old warehouse into a rehab hospital. In 1963, Dr. Betts joined the staff and became associate director the next year and medical director the following year. Dr. Khalili initiated the first research project at RIC in 1967, and in 1974, the RIC facility moved to 345 East Superior. In 1984, Northwestern medical students began required rotation at RIC. In 1991, the U.S. News and World Report ranked RIC as the best rehab hospital in the U.S., a ranking that has received every year since, and the only hospital that has received such accolades. In 1995, RIC established the Disability Ethics Center. Dr. Betts assumed leadership as chair of the Rehab Foundation. In 2002, Dr. Kukin developed a myoelectric arm, also known as the bionic arm. And in 2004, they launched the Neural Engineering Research Center. The Shirley Ryan AbilityLab opened in 2017. The second RIC opened in 1974 and closed in 2017, and that was replaced by the Shirley Ryan Lab at the Red Arrow. This was the site of the old CBS building, which was demolished in order to build the Shirley Ryan building. Both Shirley and Pat Ryan are alumni of Northwestern. In a 2021 interview with Chicago History Magazine, Shirley Ryan shared her personal experience with disabilities. Her son Corbett had early developmental communication and sensory difficulties. She took him to many doctors and was tired of hearing, "Don't worry, children develop at different rates," when they discovered that he was a little delayed in his development. But with early intervention in Bern, Switzerland, and Lurie Children's Hospital, Corbett graduated magna cum laude from the University of Notre Dame. After Shirley met with specialists in Bern, she became convinced that early therapeutic intervention built new pathways in the brain, and she wanted to share this with the doctors in the U.S. With the help of real estate developer Arthur Rubloff, whose name is on the Rubloff building at Superior and Lakeshore Drive, also the real estate developer who named the northern end of Michigan Avenue the Magnificent Mile, she met with CEOs of 8 Chicago area hospitals, and only Dr. Betts was impressed. Others said, "Show us the data." But with Dr. Betts' encouragement, she opened the Pathways Pediatric Clinic in Glenview. In 2010, Shirley met RIC CEO and President Joanne Smith. Dr. Smith was raising money for a new RIC, and after meeting with Joanne Smith, Ryan said they were soulmates and had found common ground. Pat and Shirley Ryan gave the largest gift ever received by an organization to the new RIC in 2016, which opened the following year. Dr. Smith began college as a pre-nurse in the pre-nurse curriculum, but changed to pre-med after she discovered she did not like taking orders. She worked in an emergency room in Pontiac, Michigan, and loved it, and then changed to pre-med. She graduated from the medical school at Michigan State University in 1988 and was a member of Alpha Omega Alpha. She initially planned to enter orthopedic surgery, but changed to anesthesiology. During medical school, she was assigned a rotation at the amputee clinic at Mary Free Bed Hospital, and she watched the little children playing, and that was a pivotal moment in her career. She liked the entanglement of social, emotional, spiritual, psychological, physical, and functional aspects instead of just thinking, "What's wrong with the bones?" She did an internship at Evanston Hospital and spent her final 3 years at the RIC. She joined the RIC as a practicing physician in 92 and came under the tutelage of Dr. Henry Betts, who asked her to serve as a consultant at the University of Chicago. She wanted to learn more about marketing and strategic aspects associated with rehab and running a hospital, so she earned her MBA degree from the University of Chicago in 2000. She was impressed by Dr. Betts and felt that he was influenced by the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who wanted to create equality for all. Dr. Betts wanted to get patients out of nursing homes and allowing them to live in society with accessibility to city streets, bathrooms, and public transportation. She was named president and CEO in 26. She immediately felt that physical medicine had lost much of its standing in the domain of medicine because it often lacked what she thought was adequate scientific research. She thought acute care hospitals overemphasized cure when there was none, and too often the goal was simply get the patient walking. In 2006, she heard a lecture and had an epiphany. She thought that innovation and previously unimagined applications were increasingly possible in medicine. In other words, advances in science were finally catching up with medicine, which had been delayed in accepting them. and thought, why can't we encircle patients with scientists who can understand what our patients' needs are? And she envisioned a building where we actually force the collision of patients, of physicians, clinicians, families, and patients, so that the patient is at the center of the collision. Groundbreaking for the new hospital occurred in 2013, and the hospital had and continues to have what they call ability labs. And here are the 5: think and speak, legs and walking, arms and hands, strength and endurance, and the pediatric lab. Joanne Smith and Shirley Ryan adopted the term ability over cure, and they wanted to drop the dis in disability. In 2017, the Shirley Ryan AbilityLab opened the first translational research hospital in the world to encourage collaboration of researchers, clinicians, technologists, patients, and families. Most of the spaces in the hospital are open with no doors or with no doors on offices. And at all levels of treatment, patients are surrounded by various specialties. And you can see in this picture on the right, the various specialties that participate in a patient's care. This is an incredible hospital. I had the pleasure of taking a tour at the recent alumni weekend, and I encourage you to take a tour if at all possible and see this amazing institution. Let's get together again digitally next month when my topic will be Abbott Hall. Hopefully it will bring back memories, hopefully good ones, and I look forward to our meeting then.